Hello, friends. It's John Clan, third of episode 240 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. We're going to be concluding our Dark Web coverage of Dark Web finale. But first, we're going to review Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then X-Men 97 Season 2, Episode 7, Strange Land, Savage Heart. And then we're going to spoil the heck out of X-Men Volume 734, Generation X 23, 6, Bishop Volume 2, 2, and X-Men Outback 2. And so Spider-Man Brand New Day, Walker D let me borrow this cute little Spider-Man plushie. And for our YouTube friends, if you wanted to skip ahead, once you see Spider-Man go away, you know it's safe to come back if you don't want spoilers. And then for our audio friends, maybe skip ahead 10 minutes and then slowly come back. That's the best I could think of for that solution. Um, so Spider-Man Brand New Day. We saw it this morning, woke up. Well, we saw it at 11:30, but it was pretty much all we thought about the entire time. Well, I thought about. Turn out my wife woke up and started watching the third movie, and then I caught the last like 30 minutes of it. Pretty much the finale battle. And then we watched like the three trailers. And then I was tempted us to watch the Doomsday, but I was like, you know what? We've done enough Spider-Man content, and then we just hung out. So, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spoilers are incoming. So I don't, because honestly, you should watch this movie before anyone um spoils it for you, like me. Um, I would say I really liked it. Walker D really enjoyed it. Our nephew Curtis C and my wife were sort of mixed on it. Or just like my wife was just like, no, it's good. It's just I like the third one better. I was like, oh, okay. I sort of loved how it was just like a straightforward, grounded Spider-Man movie. So, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, back for it. Um, I thought he did a fantastic job. Like he's just great as Spider-Man. We talked about our favorite Spider-Mans, and I was like, well, yeah, I'd be surprised to see if Tom isn't everyone's, and maybe the overexposure has turned people off. But I'm just like, yeah, we've seen him do so much. How could he not be this? It's sort of my when I was in high school, I always thought Star Trek was better than Star Wars because there was only 6 episodes and there was thousands of episodes of Star Trek, and so I was like, yeah, like if I'm gonna watch a long form thing, it's gonna be Star Trek. And um and then Star Wars, yeah, it's just like I like them. Like I can be in a conversation with them. You want to make a reference to Hoff? I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Um, but and I'm pretty sure I've only seen the new trilogy like once, maybe no, I think once, and then we couldn't get young Walker D to watch it, so we didn't commit to it. But I should watch them. So, and then Ned's back, MJ's back. Um, I would say this movie, because most of my problems with superhero movies is that, especially origin stories, it's just like we can skip those 20 minutes. And this movie, arguably, because even Far From Home, I would just skip right to the Doc Ock part. And Walker D was just saying how he was like, well, then you miss all this Doctor Strange stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess so. But also, I just want to get to Doc Ock because that's when the reason, if I'm ever going to watch Far From Home, is because I want to see Spider-Man versus his classic villains. So get me to the classic villains. Um, so yeah, I want to skip this. Like Batman Begins, as soon as Bruce and Alfred are on the plane back, that's where I start the movie. I mean, the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, like I'm skipping like an hour of that movie because I just want to get to him getting bit by the spider. And even then, I'm like, I might even skip to, once he's donning the suit. Uh, Spider-Man 2, though, I think that's just a good start from the beginning to go from. Though I do need to watch Spider-Man Far From Home again. Um, okay. So then the hands in the movie, which I was like, oh man, maybe we get a Daredevil reference, and there's no Daredevil references. The Punisher's in it. He's in the Fortnite too. Walker had plenty of V-Bucks to get the Spider-Man half of the bundle, but I bought him like the emote in it, and then he was able to buy all of it. So it's nice how Fortnite just works on that bundle, which I do like how they do that. Where, well, I guess it's an Epic thing because I know Fall Guys has the same philosophy. If you buy portions of the bundle, it makes the overall bundle cheaper. Which I always like in Fortnite because then if you bought the skin or the expensive glider in a creator um locker bundle, then usually it's super cheap that way. And then I'm like, well, yeah, I'll spend 600 V-Bucks on all the other things. Um, so I thought he did great. John Bethany is like we saw him on Hot Wings and with Tom Holland. It was just yeah, I finished the first two seasons of The Punisher finally as a build up to this. Um, Punisher Last Target or Last Ride, I thought was only okay. Like talk about an hour special and like that's like 20 minutes of like you can skip a bunch of this. And then it ends and I'm just like, did I miss it? Like it sort of just ended and I was like, oh, all right, this might have been overly hyped. The Hulk we've all seen in the trailers and um Mark Ruffalo came back perfect. I really like that conversation about bad genetic genes and how it's like, well, how do you wait, what do you what makes you the one that determines what's good genes and not genes? Which Peter could easily have just been like, well, these ones are causing me pain and, torment. So I don't want those ones. Like, yeah. Um, oof, my handwriting is atrocious. Um, at one point, Spider-Man makes a power inhibitor, and then he makes a universal inhibitor, and he's so fast to go from like, I cured me, maybe I can cure others, and it's like, what are you doing? And I'm uncomfortable with that plot. Or like, really? You're just immediately doing that? Like, all right. Here we go, everyone. Massive spoilers. If you were like flirting with everything, we're going to get to it now. So, spoilers. Okay, here we go. Ready? Because this is the thing I was trying to avoid at all. So we're going to do it in three, two, one. Let's talk about the gene of it all. That's right, everyone. Gene DeWitt is in it from the Peter David story, the death of Gene DeWitt. So the whole time I was like, Gene's going to die in this. That's not great. Like there's going to be some type of sin eater situation where whoever's taking over all these minds. Like Gene DeWitt's going to get it. And I do not care for that. But here we go, everyone. Gene DeWitt survived. And I was like, what? Like, all right, this college trilogy is going to have her die at one point. And by the way, there is a 3 to 4 year time jump. And I don't like it was clever how they kept calling it the college trilogy. And it's like, no, they skipped all that. He's been Spider-Man for 4 years and just doing it. He's buying Little Caesars pizzas too. And I'm just like, what's he doing for money? Like, does he have a Patreon or does he have like a GoFundMe page? Like, I mean, I know it's $6 a pizza and he's paying for rent, but is he? Because I at no point did I see him working a second job. So, what is he doing for money? All right, everyone. You flirted with it. I'm probably being overly precautious about the spoilers, but there's Gene DeWitt and then there's Sadie Sink's character, and that character is Jeannie Ling Gray, everyone. And there was a moment where Sadie Sink literally says to the camera, I'm Jean Grey. And it's like amazing. And I sort of love how, if you look at all the villains of the movies, like It's going to be Vulture, Mysterio, or Spider-Man, depending on who you thought destroyed the London Bridge. The Sinister Five, awkward. And then Jean Grey, just as the antagonist of the movie. I mean, you could say Damage Patrol, but no, Damage Department of Damage Control. Which there was a clever moment where it was like, yeah, like this is our mission statement to control the damage. And I'm like, oh yeah, you guys aren't just the garbage men of garbage people of the MCU. Like you're actually just doing it all. Like you're trying to mitigate the damage or control it, if you will. Um, and she has a sister, Sarah Gray, who's also a telepath. But which I'm like, oh man, just last year they revealed that Sarah has the powers to bring your mutant dormant powers back to the front. But whatever. They talk about how horrible their mother was, and once they became mutants, they got kicked out of their house. And I'm like, well, yeah, the Greys are notoriously horrible parents, so I believe it. Um, and then we see her going to upstate New York, and I'm like, I don't know why she's doing that. What's she gonna find up there? I don't know. Um, I saw something about like, oh, this is gonna be the first movie without Aunt May in it. And we do get Aunt May. Marissa Tomei shows up, and I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. We flirt again with great power comes great responsibility, but we do not say the words. And I'm just like, all right. Though I do like the message of the movie being you, the greatest responsibility is to take care of yourself and make sure your well-being is taken care of. It's a whole, you can't like put on your own air mask before you help other people's air masks. Um, the first 20 minutes of the movie is literally just Spider-Man try patrolling the city and working with Jean DeWitt and was like, oh yeah, I love this. And then he has a meeting with, and this was a complete surprise to me, the Black Widow herself, Yelena. And she is enjoying her spa day. It's her office is the spa, and she tells Peter to strip Spider-Man to strip down, and he keeps the mask on. And I had to like whisper to my wife like the mask stays on, but she does not get that reference about Batman. But I was like, all right, it's pretty cool. Um, and then they do a pretty good job of him making sure the mask stays on the whole time until like the final climax of the movie, and he's just like fighting people with his mask off. I'm like, all these hand people are going to know who you are, and the Department of Damage Control is going to look at the videotapes and be like, oh yeah, there's that kid. We know exactly who he is. Um, so that was peculiar. Uh, Plus you're not going to pay Tom Holland whatever millions of dollars and then not show his face. So, but for like 80% of the movie. Oh yeah, there was a moment where I was like, what time is it? And I was like, oh, we still got like an hour of this movie, and we're finally on crescendo down, but it felt like we just pretty much once Jean was taken hostage, she it was just like, oh, here we go. Uh and it was like at the hour mark, I was like, we have so much more of this movie left to do. Uh Oh yeah, and then the Punisher tries to save the day, and then Peter takes a bullet, and he's in the hospital. And I can only imagine the doctors and nurses saw him maskless as well. So, it's just a bunch of people have seen his face now. Uh, there was a great thank yous to the comic book creators. I saw Sal Buscema on there, and a Blue Sky Amigo said that he was included because he's the co-creator of the Tarantula. But J.M. DeMatteis wasn't included, and I was like, oh man, that's curious. But sure. Peter David did get credited, as did Brian Michael Bendis and Jimmy Parotti. So I'm like, I like all that. Um, there is no mid-credit post scene or mid credit scene, but there is a post credit scene where he's in space, or you see the spider app, which I was like, hey, from the Spider-Man games. And then it shows New York and it keeps scanning up until you're in outer space and it cuts to the right and it's like, what's that about? We have a theory that it's probably Secret Wars related, and so it's just going to show that he's on a battle world or something. We'll find out. Um, well, oh yeah, we get some clever characters. Like the Scorpion's probably the sub boss of the level, but or movie. But we saw the Tarantula for a hot second, and we saw Tombstone, which I'm like, hey, that's great. And then I started being like, oh, maybe we're going to see like six more characters, and then we didn't. Um, we do see that even though Peter still has access to Stark Tech in his apartment. So that was pretty cool to see. So he's not hand sewing his outfits, even though Far From Home shows us with the skin, with him doing that. Oh yeah, the costume's pretty great. It has like the Toby black spider and then like Andrew's red spider in the back. So a great shade of red and blue. Uh he has the little web shooters that stick out. And I'm like, all right. And they serve a story purpose. So I'm like, okay, I guess so. But I was like, I'd rather not see web shooters, but I got used to it. Um, oh yeah, the Punisher and Spider-Man have this great chemistry throughout the whole thing, and they keep talking about how Punisher owes Spider-Man for a Staten Island thing that happened. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the mid-credit scene or the post-credit scenes that we're gonna see this whole, 2 minute scene fall down. But we didn't. You just have to imagine it. If you're gonna do any MCU X-Men casting, you gotta now include Sadie Sink, ideally Daphne Keene as Laura Kinney, the Wolverine, and I can only imagine Miss Marvel will be part of the X-Men's MCU. Maybe not the very first thing, but she will cut to the um she will have to show up at one point to be part of the X-Men. And um And then I Googled who's not in Doomsday and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange were not listed. And I'm just like, well, maybe in Secret War. And Famke Jensen's also been like, I wish I was included in Doomsday. And maybe we'll get a cool Famke Jensen and Sadie Sink Secret Wars moment. And Sophia Turner if she's not filming Tomb Raider, which I imagine they will excuse her for. Um, Oh yeah, so there's no Mr. Negative. It was just Gene the whole time taking over people's bodies. And um so in ratings, I will probably say I really need to watch Far From Home, but I think I would go No Way Home, Brand New Day, Far From Home, and then Homecoming. So that Homecoming, that moment when the Vulture figures out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, the light turns green, like I just love that. Um Oh yeah, and at one point Jean in MJ's body kisses Peter, and I'm like, I don't love that he didn't tell her that, and then he does later on tell her that. And then she's fun with the Punisher later as well. So does Zoom tell me my minute marks at all? No. So I did not pay attention. But that, everyone, was Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's not going to make sense for the audio people. But you should check out the YouTube video, everybody. All right, so then we get to X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 7, Strangeland, Savage Heart, and we only got 3 episodes after this, and I thought there were a three-part finale, but maybe this is a two-part finale. It's a 30-minute episode. Rogue gives us the previously on the X-Men. Polaris is part of the team and the main credits. Mystique almost dropped baby Kurt into the river. Um, And then we get to relive the Genosha massacre, but this time through Magic's point of view and Colossus to a lesser degree. And a Magic attempted to attack the Mega Sentinel, and then it shoots its blast right at her. And now I've seen people online who are like, shouldn't she just open a portal and make that beam go into the portal and hit it in the back of the head? And yeah, and then I was like, oh, well, maybe she teleported away, but no, like Colossus holds her body, and I'm like, oh, but um, and Colossus like throws a car at it, and then it doesn't even put a dent in it. But yeah, we see Ileana's dead body just in Colossus's arms, and it's just like that's it. That's all that magic content we're gonna get, unless she comes back as a horsewoman. But I don't know. Or somehow they just rewrite all of Genosha to be alive again. I don't know. But at least we got magic in the show. As little as we did and as little as it makes sense. We see Creed being beloved, which is gross. We learn that Creed is running for president. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder if Iceman and Cannonball would infiltrate his, crew. Bo DeMaio is still co-writing these episodes. We get the acolytes, including Random, Frenzy, and Colossus. Colossus looks great in a cape. We get Exodus. And I'm like, well, maybe I would get a better understanding of his character now because I got to know him better during Krakoa, but his whole deal is still shaky with me. We learned that the attack on Genosha was 4,621 seconds. Rogan and Nightcrawler look great in the Frank Quitely outfits. Um, and then I'm like, hey, wait, Rogue and Nightcrawler are half siblings, and well, I guess they're not half siblings, they're foster siblings, but then this episode's about Creighton Creed, and it's like, oh, this is why this cast is the way it is. Did Xavier move the X-Men to Genosha to avoid the American oversight? Like, that's pretty clever. But yet kept the school in America, so the school falls under American rules. I don't know. We see Four Arms, a prisoner of X Factor. He's the only shadow I recognize. Like the seasons is going fast. Like these weeks are just skipping by. The team going to Savage Land is Bishop, Kurt, Polaris, Rogue, and Beast. Kurt's costume incorporates his priest collar. Polaris and Bishop are chatting here because they became fast friends in the last episode. Bishop and Polaris look great in their quietly uniforms. I'm wondering if they're going to the Savage Land at this point, if we're going to get Zaladane. We don't. Rogue doesn't have her powers. None of their powers work, which is classic Savage Land nonsense. Probably why Logan wasn't on this mission. Um, I'm wondering if Bishop, because Bishop is noticeably sick and because he's absorbing too much radiation. So I guess his power just defaults absorbing all energy around it. We get a T-Rex that almost pops out to get Polaris and Bishop. Poor Bishop, he's absorbing so much power, but he can't release it. There's probably a joke in there somewhere. Classic X-Men, they split into little groups. Colossus rescued Rogue and Kurt. Poor Rogue feeling pain for the first time. I think I recognize Amelia Volt. I did not recognize the guy with white hair. Creed and Kurt share Mystique as what makes them half siblings. Nice plotting to include Colossus in a story involving siblings with him losing his beloved sister. Kurt's working Colossus trying to compliment him to get into their base. It's definitely Amelia Volt. I don't recognize the big bruiser guy either. I like the acolytes rescuing mutants and not making them be child soldiers. Well, I assume they're not turning them around to then work for them. Beast is bold, claiming Magic wouldn't want Colossus working with the acolytes. Like, did Beast know her? Morph knew her enough to morph into her in the episode 3 of season 1. We see the Ileana Shrine with Marrow and Magneto was added later, I guess. Uh, Ileana is wearing a New Mutants costume, so maybe he did have a familiarity with her. Colossus painted all the photos or paintings. All the photos seen are actually paintings Colossus created. Complicated. Colossus brought the X-Men to Clayton Creed. Um, Kurt greeted Creed as a brother. Um, hey, oh yeah, they can relate to each other using scripture. Exodus with his giant wing thingies. I like Rogue not wearing a quietly jacket, even though everyone else is wearing a jacket, and one would think with her power set that she'd be inclined to wear a jacket. Um, I'm start wondering if Creed couldn't even do well in a mutant run trial. A Savage Land trial is better than a kangaroo trial. Kurt wants to prove that Creed can be redeemed. Like, poor Kurt. Colossus brokering a deal. If Exodus wins the trial, Kurt will join the Acolytes. Colossus will be the judge. Bishop and Paris are slowly working their way to the X-Men. They think the X-Men are being held prisoners. Polaris doesn't have bright ideas, only fun ones. She's so great in this series. I think I recognize Tempo as part of the crowd. Sinaka, I always have to look up how to spell his name. He's like a beatable Omega Red with his power whips. I start wondering how much of a trial we're going to actually see. I don't recognize many of these mutants in the crowd. Kurt skips opening remarks to get straight to questioning Creed. Kurt tells everyone Mystique is their mother. Creed is quick to mention how she threw Kurt off a waterfall, so she must have shared that at one point. Comics have been rewritten since that. Kurt telling all of Creed's business with a Sabretooth reveal, which upsets Creed. Apparently, at one point, Sabretooth scarred Creed's face. Like, did we see that on the show? I like Creed acknowledging Mystique is his mother, but Sabretooth's too much for him. Kurt doesn't have an idea about who his father is. Mystique booted Creed as a baby, and Sabretooth wanted a cub. Aw, Creed thought he was going to get powers at 13. He could have become a hunter, but didn't he though? Like most races, he had a bad interaction with one person and had made it everyone else's problems. So Exodus did an opening remark, and then essentially that was his case. Fictional trials are rarely like the real thing, but it makes sense with the time limitations. There's a commercial for ESPN Jeopardy, and I'm just like, oh, we're playing pretty fast and loose with Jeopardy brand. I still need to watch the Teeny Howard episode. And then pretty much Exodus jumps to the end and just wants to behead Creed. And then Colossus finds Creed, and then he takes way too long of a pause, and Exodus attacks. And then Exodus is just bound to kill Colossus. Bishop and Polaris show up on pterodactyls, which is pretty cool. We see Exodus is very powerful. The X-Men get their powers back because Bishop and Polaris crash into the tower. Bishop wants to end this with a bang. There's probably a joke in there as well. I start wondering if Colossus is going to join the X-Men after this. Exodus and Nightcrawler have a S word off with their powers, which is cool. Beast bounced off a big guy after Rogue got him on the ground, which is silly. Exodus's line about Kurt truly being a demon hits harder knowing Exodus's religious background. And then Creed just kills Exodus. Like, what? Like, it's just a laser gun to the back. Creed wants Kurt to get him out of this mess. Kurt teleports his half-brother to the snowy part of the Savage Land. Kurt is choking Creed with his tail, his blue tail. Kurt isn't going to kill Creed, right? Right? Kurt lets Creed live, but with the knowledge that he's truly his parents' son. X Factor found Creed alive in the snow. Val Cooper threatens to take away Xavier's school. Colossus at the X Mansion, so the school is under American control, but not the X-Men. Colossus was going to find Creed and claims Ileana would have been convinced. I guess because she loves redemption arcs so much. Back at Athens, X-Force is doing some stealth, and we find Apocalypse's dead body. And then Jubilee finds Gambit's Queen of Hearts card, and the episode ends. Probably my favorite episode, and yes, because of all the sweet magic references, but R.I.P. Queen of Limbo. And the next episode is Dead Man's Hand, so we'll just have to see what we do there. All right, everyone. I should have said earlier, like for the thumbnail, we're going to do dark web. Well, I'm tempted to maybe just use a spider plush as a cuter image, but we'll see. And this is Dark Web Finale. It came out in 2021. There's a lot more than four images I'm going to use. So there will be a Saturday post on my um on TikTok and YouTube at JackoSII. Thank you so much, everyone who's subscribed to the YouTube channel. We're well over 700 subscribers, and we're staying above 700. And because I'm always worried about like, hey, everyone, we hit 700, and then someone later on goes like, oh, you're at 658. I'm like, oh, I lost a few. Um, Usually it's only like two or three at a time, but which I always think is just bots, but we're at 706, I want to say. That's the mistake. I shouldn't say that. And I want to say TikTok, we just hit 700 as well. And so it just feels like we're finding our community. And thank you, dear listeners and viewers. We can table that. Um, so yeah, let's get into Dark Web finale. Uh, it is brought to us by it's many pages in. Writers Zeb Wells, artist Adam Kubert and Francisco Mortiarnio. Apologies. With Scott Hanna. Color artists are Frank Martin and Guru EFX. Letter VC's Joe Caramagna. Cover artists Adam Kubert and Frank Martin. And Ben Riley, aka Chasm, and Madeline Pryor, aka the Goblin Queen, are the most maltreated clones ever. They want the lives they were denied, so they recruited Eddie Brock, formerly Venom, but now Bedlam, and unleashed the magic of Limbo on New York City, turning everyday objects into horrific demons. Spider-Man, the X-Men, and Miss Marvel stepped up to defend the city that never sleeps. But when they were all banished to Limbo, the city slipped into a walking nightmare. Waking nightmare. Dark Web Dawn, but usually you'll find it online as Dark Web Finale. Spider-Man was able to escape Limbo with the help of a bizarre demon spider fan named Wreck Rap. Miss Marvel escaped in her own badass fashion. The Gold Goblin, aka the reformed Norman Osborn, rose to the occasion but got beaten down by Chasm. The X-Men tried something new with the Goblin Queen, Mercy. Jean Grey gave Madeline the memories she'd wanted for so long, but then Madeline tried to call the attack off. Chasm and his girlfriend, Hollow's Eve, stole her monarchical soul scythe, making Chasm the king of Limbo. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's also a lot of awesome. Strap in and become, because it's gets even crazier from here on out. That's fun. And the cast is pretty big. We get Ben Riley Chasm, Janine Godby, Hollow's Eve, Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen, Peter Parker Spider-Man, Wreck Rap, J. Jonah Jameson, Joe Robbie Robertson, Eddie Brock Bedlam, Kamala Khan Miss Marvel, and Norman Osborn Gold Goblin, and the X-Men are Cyclops, Jean Grey, Magic, Iceman, Firestar, Sync, Forge, and Havoc. The Insidious Six are Dr. Octoball, the Crave Goblin, Rick Opus, Craven the Hunter, Lizardo, and the Gordy Pinon. People really having fun with the names of these characters. And it would have cost you $4.99 and it's rated T. And it opens up in New York City, current Limbo Annex. And Chasm and Hollow's Eve are just surveying their area as they're going to their giant tower. Madeline and Spider-Man are having a little fight. She's like, Chasm stole the Scythe of Sorrows and with it my throne. He is mine. And Spider-Man's like, I'm sorry, I didn't you help get us into this mess? Ben wants me, and I'm gonna give him just what he wants, which is his memories. But he right now he could literally be like, "Hey, Gene, give him my memories," but he's not doing that. Gene just says, "You gonna wade into this?" And Psycho's like, "Not a chance." And then so they're gonna break off to two teams, Spider Team and the X-Men, and we get a cool little panel here of magic as they are all determined to make their way. King Chasm and Hollow's Eve are surveying their new area. their new kingdom on Earth. And then they find their first line of defense is going to be the X-Men standing in a cool profile shot. And Cyclops says, "Hey, we're your neighbors. Can you keep it down?" And they're not going to keep it down. And then Chasm six all the demons to attack Madeline Pryor. So we don't like that. But Madeline Pryor has her loyal demons, so that's pretty cool. So it's just demon on demon warfare. Then Spider-Man shows up with Wreck Rap, which of course is Parker spelled backwards. And then Janine puts, or Halsey Eve puts on a wolf mask, and now she has wolf powers, so now she can fight Rick Rap. Um, Magic attacks this Insidious Six, Dr. Octoball. Oh no, no, that's Kraven the Hunter, actually. He just has squid arms. So that's a little confusing. And then Ileana wants to keep fighting the Kraven guy, but Cyclops tells her to go on a mission. And so she just opens the portal, takes care of um oh yeah, she's just portaling all the Insidious Six away. Now on the next page, Alex is in his Goblin Prince outfit, and he's gonna help Madeline out. And we get a great double page spread here. And Jean says, "We've got you, Maddie." And Madeline's like, Thank you. Of course, your family." And Madeline makes this great face of like, "Yeah, we're family, but it's very complicated how I'm your clone, but I'm also your boyfriend's baby mama and also your brother-in-law's girlfriend sometimes." Like it's a lot, but we're here for it. And then King Chasm is just about to defeat Spider-Man utterly when Miss Marvel and the Gold Goblin shows up. Then we get this pretty cool sequence here, trying to do the reveal. Where Madden's like, "Hey everyone, time's enough," and then you gotta turn the whole page. And Madden's just like demands everyone just stop. And Magic's so impressive she almost took a knee. It's just a cool artistic decision to be like, read it here. Like a Bendis comic, he would just make you do a whole swirl, but not Art Adams, not Zeb Wells. And then they're starting to get the upper hand. Chasm's starting to lose his grip on the site when a portal opens up. Oh, actually, got ahead of it. Um, so he's starting to worry he's going to lose. And he doesn't want anything to happen to Janine, and so he opens a portal and banishes her to who knows where. And then Magic opens a portal, kicks Chasm, and then Madeline Pryor gets her scythe back, and so now she's the Goblin Queen again, and everyone's just okay. And then we cut to springtime, and Chasm Ben Riley is a prisoner of Madeline Pryor's, but Peter's going to check on him. He's still not giving him his memories, so that seems irritating. And then the issue ends with the big reveal that there's a limbo embassy just in Manhattan. And I'm still confused if this is still there or not. I think in Sorcerer Supreme, um, number three, I want to say they go to Earth for a little bit, but I don't remember if the embassy's still there. But anyways, that was the Dark Web, everyone. We did it. Took us several weeks, but and we paused it for the He-Man tie-in Masters of the Universe, but always a little scared when put the little tape here and then if it gets stuck on the comic or not. But yeah, Dark Web finale or Dark Web Dusk if you're nasty. Pretty good. At one point, I don't know if next year, but I really want to do X of Swords. I'm sorry, Ten of Swords. But we'll work our way there eventually. The things that I think it's an 18 issue crossover, and I own 14 issues of it because 4 issues or whatever don't include Kate Pride or Magic or Lockheed. And oh shoot, I don't think I did my introduction of the podcast title. Well, this is Shadow and Flame of Magic, everybody, your premier Kitty Pride Lockheed and Magic podcast. Welcome. Um, Usually my notes, I put little page numbers on the bottom of here, and I do not have that. That's irritating. Okay, so comics. X-Men Volume 734, writer Jed McKay, art penciler Greg Land, inker Jay Leiston. Cool to see an inker back. Colors is for Cifuentes Yoho. Letter VC's Clayton Cowles. I got the Marvel Snap variant cover by Ingyuk Lee. Um, I got that cover, but I resisted paying the $25 for to get this card in the game itself. Magic's part of the cast list, so I can just relax and enjoy the comic. Grayland doing interior art feels like forever since he did an X-Men comic. This is the Juggernaut issue. Jupiter, Pennsylvania, some jerks put up a Bolivar Task statue, so that's gross. One agent, Lucas, is back, possibly not by popular demand, but I like what he brings out of Cyclops. Juggernaut's also there in a very nice brown suit. He definitely shops at the big and tall store. I like Juggernaut not messing a step to comment how Ludquist used to be on the big X-Men assignment, and now he's watching a statue. I mean, it makes sense. He wasn't very good at the X-Men issue, getting Cyclops to reveal his Hellions team and wrecking several Sentinel factories. Juggernaut tells Ludquist that he can go home early today as he's just going to wreck the statue, except he can't. It's being protected somehow. 2 hours later, it's still not wrecked. I would have stopped after the second attempt. Not only are there cameras seeing Juggernaut be literally stopped from his mission, but also 2 hours is such a long time to fail at one activity. I sort of wish this entire issue was just Juggernaut and Lundquist chatting as what we were talking about the last 2 hours. They're getting real here. Lundquist knows he's at a transition in his career, but he's confident he's going to get his career back on track. Juggernaut recognizes sadly that he can't trust his judgment anymore and is just trusting Cyclops to make all the right decisions for him. 3 more hours later, this is just getting silly as Juggernaut keeps trying to wreck the statue. This is hard to watch. Not entertaining like the end of Tin Cup. Like, I just love that movie. Chris Coleman, a human who wants the statue down, is now Juggernaut's pal to chat with. Juggernaut's the human ally who's also on the X-Men, which is good to point out for new readers who may think that Juggernaut is a mutant. Sometimes he is in other media. It is around now that I'm wondering when Magic's going to be seen or even mentioned. Juggernaut promised Cyclops he'll handle the statue, and he's not happy with himself. Juggernaut can wobble the statue, so shouldn't he just be able to lift the thing and take it somewhere? Coleman lets us in on the fact that Trask lives in Jupiter, so he's unfortunately a local celebrity. 2 more hours later, so 5 total from the beginning of this awkwardness. Angela Harmon, the free speech advocate, is now Juggernaut's pal, so now we have to both sides the issue. Angie, as she prefers over Trask fan, gets to say Magneto is right, which is always nice to hear. Juggernaut mentioning how he eats dinner with Magneto, which is cute. Imagine Magneto, Juggernaut, and Magic all sharing a meal. I want to see that page. Dang, Angela, who's we're no longer friends, calls Juggernaut out. Magneto's a dog, and Juggernaut's the X-Men's pet sapien. Juggernaut has since removed his helmet, so any telepath could just be giving him better directions at this point. He doesn't care for Angela's points, as she has a real them versus us, and he's one of us. 1 hour later, this is just getting beyond sad. Now the statue's talking to Juggernaut. Apparently, I can't spell Juggernaut. I keep swapping the A with the N. The statue claims it's actually a mirror reflecting Coleman's shame, Hartman's fear, and Marco's weakness. It goes on to claim it's the mark of Cain. Get it? And the stain of sin, all sins. His best bud Magic finally checks in on him and has brought Cyclops along as well. I love so much that she's quick to try to comfort him. Juggernaut's muttering to himself about how much of a failure he is. I appreciate so much Cyclops calling him an X-Man. That's nice, especially after the nonsense he's been having to hear. Cyclops thought it was a nice, simple mission, but turns out it's a puzzle. Magic says they'll figure it out together. I just really like these three together. Magic makes a Godzilla and Ginza reference, which is odd as she's battled Godzilla. Did they make Godzilla attack Ginza, a district of Tokyo, after Godzilla attempted to destroy the Marvel Universe? Like that must be it. Dang, Juggernaut still taking the loss hard. Cyclops is such a great leader. The mission wasn't a failure. The parameters were changed. Juggernaut gave more than anyone can expect, which is why Cyclops can count on him. That's what makes him an X-Man. But also punching it the fifth time, clearly nothing was going to happen. He wasn't weakening the force field. He did waste 6 hours, but also wasting instead of doing what? I guess enjoying himself. But if he wanted to spend 6 hours doing this, sure. His manager clearly was okay with it. Next issue is the Beast Spotlight, which I feel like we've just got with the science arc, but also we have to now set up DNX as we compare and contrast the tale of the two beasts. Generation X-23 issue 6. Wolverine has gotten all the generates to Logan's safe house. X-99 wants to go by X67. So she has been quick to Google things. X-97 thinks the name change is a disgrace to X-67, but X-67 points out it's two different numbers names. X-67 is sleeping in the room with Gabby and Jonathan, the most real of the Wolverines. X-67 calls X-97 mid, and Gabby finally steps in and tells X-67 that she can't use her phone anymore. 74 is going around portaling to neighbors' rooms, which seems to go against the very idea of hiding out. Jonathan startles 74 and he almost loses concentration as he falls into one of the apartments, but gets himself back in time unnoticed, except he lands on Jonathan, so he was very much notices him and begins an attack. 97 destroys the turret, and X67 says both cringe and the ski biddy turret war is real. So even I'm losing the joy here. Wolverine takes them all and costs them to pay respects at the Cocoa Treehouse in Central Park. X67 uses the word Riz, then Wolverine finds a secret note. A man of a very much mutant presenting family are being harassed, and the Kinney sisters and the Generates head to Jackson Heights to help the family out. I like that the Generates are not very good at the whole rescue thing. 74 teleported family to safety, but 97 threw too many and too big of time bombs everywhere. X67 took too long to figure out what she wanted to shift into. She finally settled on a giant cat, which was pretty cute. They all get a great post-battle dinner, a number 25 chicken, which does sound amazing. At dinner, they pick their mutant names. X67 will be surprised with the explanation mark, just like bling. X97 will be time bomb, and X74 will be point. Wolverine provides her origin story. Gabby mentions how you can change your code name. She's already been Badger and now Scott. Scout. She's still open to a name change. Issue ends with a thud, as in Logan collapsed at the safe house. And we finally see his broken right claw, as I've been curious if other titles were reflected. Jeannie popped the left claw in the Hellfire murder, which I needed pointed out to me. This was such a great issue. Giving the generates their own non-numbered names shows that these characters are worth investing attention into. Uh, Bishop Volume 2 2. This was such a great issue. Saladin Ahmed really has Bishop and Shard's voices down. Oh man, I feel like I'm hear my voice speeding up. I was like, calm down, take a breath. Mario Santoro and Reese Hannigan are amazing artists. We meet Skipping Stone in this issue, and I really noticed how great Federico Blaze coloring is, and of course VC's Travis Lantham's lettering is top notch. Bishop spends most of the issue in shock as Shard is really here, and I love how he just knows in his heart that this is actually his sister. I have a headcanon that Bishop being the president is changing his future, and that's how Shard's alive right now. They defeat Flamequake, a mix of Pyro and Avalanche, but not before she sends out a distress signal. Skipping Stone arrives, the guy dressed as Toad, but with Fred Duke's powers, so he can jump high and far, but also land heavy like a bomb. It's a great power set. He reveals that he has to focus on the attack to stop an attack, which he felt like a very old school delivery, which I love. Bishop was just about to warn Shard about the trap that gets her killed, but is attacked by Skipping Stone. I love that Shard is not impressed that Bishop joined the legendary X-Men and just went by his last name. Like, so silly, Bishop. Issue ends with Shard about to be killed by Skipping Stone. Bishop really needs to get his head in the game. X-Men Outback 2. Issue opens with Mojo being pitched a new show, Murder Television, by his major domo. I recognize three of the four famous Marvel murders: Jean dying on the moon, Bullseye killing Elektra, someone being straight shot from behind, and Bucky knocking Steve out of a plane before it explodes. Blue Sky Friend and Terrific Follow Jonathan Love's X-Men hit me to the third one as Doug Ramsey, saving Wolfsbane in New Mutants Volume 160. Of course, that is what it is. I saw a wolf, but was thrown off by a giant green person, and I'll admit I thought Doug was like a yellow cape of the green person. So clear once someone explain it. Like, thanks, Jonathan Loves X-Men. Meanwhile, in the Outback, Colossus and Betsy are enjoying a fun run. And it's fun how they both are armored characters here. Rogue and Dazzler are being very catty about Longshot as he wrestles an alligator. I really like Storm's remark about Logan pointing out about how people shouldn't crush on teammates. It never ends well, and she comments about how he would know. Havoc checks in with Madeline Pryor. I love so much him telling her that she doesn't have to keep earning her spot on the team. She has it. She hears it, but wants the distraction of trying to hack into the Reaver's computer. Unfortunately, she's able to hack in, setting off the God Shredder program. Turns out when Logan clawed his way through three Hellfire goons during the segment of the Dark Phoenix saga, he actually tore into a fourth one pretty badly, leaving only his head and a hand. So the Reavers put what was left inside the God Shredder, and the God Shredder was able to take over the bodies of the X-Men, which gives us an awesome sequence of Logan having to single-handedly defeat the X-Men, but not hurt them too badly. Now that we have a God Shredder, can we get some God Turtles to fight him? That'd be pretty cool. Is there a rule about Marvel creating their own set of turtles as a fun homage? Seriously, just give me a TMT X-Men already. I would want TMT Daredevil first, but then X-Men immediately after, please. But yeah, this was a great issue as well. That everyone's the comics of the podcast or the week. Um we have a Patreon. Just I thank you so much, Vic of Comic Books Beyond, for being my top tier patron. We have three tiers, well, four. There's a free tier, and then there's a dollar tier to just support the pod. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Stephanie joining the Patreon. I had several ideas to do like Patreon exclusive content, like maybe like 1 or 2 minute videos, and then just my week got away from me this week. But something I want to at least look into, like how does this all work? And um, my idea is like if I see a cool article or something, I can just do a quick like, hey everyone, there's this article, and give like some quick thoughts, and then maybe by the time you hear that, and then you hear the podcast, and you see if I have more thoughts or not. There's a $5 tier, and with that, you can get your name set on the pod. You can host a segment of the pod. It could be like a top 10 list, um, do a review of a book or issue or something. Just, it's your segment. I would say your name, it was your idea to talk about this. I do this, and then, thank you again, Dia. And then top tier pod Patreon, get your name set in every episode, and you just make all my dreams come true with or quicker, I should say, as the $1 and $5 tiers would be a huge boon as well. Um, but yeah, like it pays for Zoom. which thank you so much. I sent out like maybe 10 to 12 podcast invites and I got two pretty quick yeses. So it's just a matter of scheduling them. Two people I got to follow up on and hopefully just it all works out. We will know very soon if one of them happens quickly. In my heart, I'm just like, it's gonna fall through, right? But that's just me being anxious about it. And then we'll go to the WordPress account. I'm butting up against the free space I've had, where they give you free 3 GB, and then my Google Drive's filling up. And so, yeah, this is podcast expenses, and I want to make the podcast grow as I feel like I'm really hitting a stride here, and just really appreciate the listeners and viewers helping listening and making me feel heard. And that is just thank you enough. But just also we live in a world where our finances are just, you know, the world's tight. And yeah, so just thank you everyone for considering becoming a patron. Oh man, I am talking long. In 3 weeks, I imagine we'll just go back to average length episodes, but and maybe I just won't record these at 10 o'clock at night and everything will be fine. Next week's episode, we're going to do Uncanny X-Men Volume 633, X-Men of Apocalypse Omega ends, Token Unleash 1. We'll see if Magic shows up. Marvel Rivals has a new comic. It still says TBD, where I'm like, well, all right. We see if Magic shows up in that. And then Carmen Carnero's back with Iron Man Volume 7, 8. So we'll just have to see. I mean, Uncanny X-Men for sure. We'll also be doing Dead Man's Hand of X-Men 97. And the top 10 X comics be Magic Colossus 5, Marvel Swimsuit Special Brand New Beach Day, Moonstar 5, Inferno Hulk 7, X-Men United 1. And then at number 6, Avengers Volume 934, Generation X 23 1, X-Men 97 Season 2 1, Sorcerer Supreme 3, and rounding out our list, X-Men Hellfire Murder number 1. Um, if you would consider giving the podcasts on whatever platform you listen to a rating and a review, where it gets the numbers up and the visibility heightened. You can email the podcast at shoutonflameofmagic@gmail.com. Um, I know I just use it as mostly to log into things that have the Google account. But I'm trying to just get more interaction with listeners and viewers. If you're a YouTube viewer, just feel free to comment below. And then I'm on socials at Jacko SII on YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, Twitter. Though I barely use Twitter anymore. Um, the podcast socials on Instagram and Blue Sky or SNFWM. I should mention the Patreon. You can look up this podcast or you can just type in SNFWM and that should get you there as well. If you want to read my thoughts, shadowandflameofmagic.com is the website for that. And um, if you're a Redditor or on socials at all, the Daily Lockheed account's a great subreddit to follow. And then that's on Blue Sky and Twitter as well. And I like to use the word as well. That's my go-to phrase, I suppose. Well, everyone, I will talk at you next time. And as always, don't, uh-oh, just don't have any shadows of doubt. Ignite those flames and make like magic and have a great week, everyone. And until next time, adios.